Okay.
Okay, hola, hello.
Hola.
Hola.
I'm Alicia Kaplan and welcome to my world. Bienvenidos a mi mundo. I am honored to have these beautiful people with me. Of course, as far as I'm concerned, there's always beautiful people. Voy a hacer esto un poco más bien en inglés y
Okay.
un poco en español.
¿Está bien?
Okay.
No. So I'm going to do this a little more in English than Espanol
Bueno.
because this wonderful, I don't know how you would call it, a monodrama, a performance piece is in English. And I have with me, almost with me, virtually with me,
Of course.
Rodolfo Alvarado and Rebeca Acevedo. And tell me a little, who wants to start? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Who wants to start talking about the project and about themselves?
Rebecca, well, we flipped a coin, didn't we, Rebecca? And
Yes, we did.
I think you won. I think you won.
I did? Thank you, Rudy.
Okay.
Yeah, you're welcome. You see how I put you on the spot so
Oh
soon?
my goodness. Yes,
So,
yes.
Oh
Rebecca,
no,
do you want?
I tell you, I would be honored to have Rebecca go first. It was my
Thank you.
pleasure meeting her,
Okay.
and yes, let's start
So,
with Rebecca for
right,
sure.
great. So we'll
Okay.
talk to Rebecca about who you are,
Yes.
about this performance piece. I believe that is based on your father.
Correct.
And let me see how I could put this for the speaker. Okay, whenever you're ready. You ready?
Okay. I'm ready. I'm
Let's
ready.
go.
Thank you. Well,
Let's
I am
go.
Rebeca Acevedo-Carlin. I am the daughter of Anthony C. Acevedo and very proud daughter. I'm very honored. And also, I am so pleased um, for the extraordinary work that Rudy Alvarado has been doing and is still doing. I can't say enough about him. You know him already, and
Okay.
he's an extraordinary man, not because he's present, but for what he's doing. And without having met my father, I think he's already met him. Sorry for the being redundant, but I feel that he, some way or another, has met my father. As you well know, maybe through reading the articles and seeing the performance, extraordinary performance, once again, I say about Rudy, this just, it enlightens us as a family to continue the legacy of our father. Um, our father, and I can't say enough about him, just one big heart of a man, genuine heart, humble, noble, well educated. And for all he went through, that he could be able to stand in one piece as a man, as a father, as a husband, through all that he went through, is just, there aren't words really to express just an enormous amount of admiration that we have for the father that we got to share our lives with. And all of his education, along with our mothers, of course, but speaking of Anthony, our father, with the education he's given us, how well inculcated I believe we are as his children. I can only say the best things about him. I can't say anything bad. There was nothing bad about my dad. There wasn't. And I'm not being blind. There was just nothing. If he could talk or greet a dog walking next to him, that tells you what type of a man he was. And so just an enormous amount of admiration is all we can say and speak about our father. Truly.
So tell me, Did he talk about his experiences? Because I don't know, with the little I've read, he went through some traumatic experiences.
Yes, yes. He spoke in my younger years as before an adolescent, say if I was 9, 10, 11 years of age, he would experience, say, nightmares. Our mother would share with us that our father had experienced another bad night, a traumatic night. And our mother would say, only the Lord knows. She would say in Spanish, if I can say it,
Of course, do Spanish, do
solo Dios
Spanish.
sabe,
Solo
solo
Dios
Dios sabe
sabe.
lo
Only God
que,
knows.
exactamente, solo Dios sabe lo que este pobre hombre habrá pasado. Only God knows what this poor man suffered for him to be so traumatized. And of course, very difficult. Not for us growing up. I know more so for sharing with my mother because these were like episodes. It wasn't constant. And later in the years, he would encounter more episodes like this in my adolescent years, 13, 14, 15 years of age. But then he would open up to us and just tell us that he would reflect on something or he would see something, or even if it was something political on TV, the news, and he would compare it to what he went through. El Gestapo. This is the Gestapo. So we knew that this was relating to what he had suffered. And mind you, not only in the military, but growing up. Growing up.
So he grew up in Mexico or he grew up in California?
Well, he grew up in Mexico, but also in California because there were periods where he would come out maybe for the summertime and share time with his other family, the half family, because our grandfather, his father, would uh, come out for periods of time. My father would come out also. Um, and even, and sorry to kind of go back and forth, during the younger years of my father, where he grew up in Mexico as a young boy because he would go to college there, as they call el colegio, the college, meaning whether it be a primary or secondary school, he would go to school there because my grandfather would make sure he was dressed like a girl. Yes.
Like a
Yes, and we
girl?
had pictures. Yes, I had they've they're somewhere in the shuffle, but there are pictures where my father's in a dress and he was dressed very much like that to go to school. And my grandfather would make sure that he would attend school as such
Why?
because our paternal grandfather was an ogre, a mean, mean man. Mean because he didn't accept our father as his firstborn. He reneged the fact that our father was his firstborn. And this firstborn was the best son this man could have ever had. The best. The
Okay,
best.
so let's move forward
Absolutely.
just a little.
Yes.
Then how, because I want to give Rodolfo a chance. How did it come about? How did you, Rebecca, and Rodolfo, Dr. Rodolfo Alvarado, how did you meet? ¿Cómo se encontraron ustedes?
Well, ok. Nos encontramos en casa de mi hermano Fernando, que ahora se fue a mejor vida, desfortunadamente. This brother of ours, Fernando, which is the one that was so responsible for my father getting the recognition that he so deserved, even before meeting Rudy. And Fernando actually knew Rudy prior to me knowing Rudy, and speaking of my youngest brother, Ernesto, as well, before Fernando already had met Rudy and invited him to his home and that's where we met for first time. Rudy flew out from Michigan, came out to Rancho Cucamonga here in Southern California. And Fernando, the one who's gone to better life, is the one that was responsible for us having the privilege and the honor of meeting Rudy.
Thank you, Rebecca.
No, and you know, Rudy, that we mean it. Ernesto as well. And that's the truth. Now, I don't quite exactly know how you and Fernando got in contact. You might have told me, but I'm sorry, brother. I might have forgotten
Well, no,
that. I'm sorry.
it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, as Alicia just mentioned, so I do have a PhD, and so I do a lot of academic writing as well, and I have written a number of biographies on Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Joe Hernandez, who was the race caller at
That's
Santa
right.
Anita Park. He was a Latino, was the first race caller at Santa Anita Park back in 1934 when the track opened. And so I've written in a whole variety of genres. And when let's just say that that man came down that golden elevator back in 2016, 2015 to announce his presidency, he stood in front of a microphone and started talking about how Latinos were all rapists, drug dealers, and would never amount to anything.
Sounds
And
familiar. Are we talking
doesn't
about
it?
now, or are we talking about back in the day? What
Yeah,
year was
right.
that?
We can bring one up to the other, right? And so after I heard that, I said to myself, you know, I have to do something about this, and I contemplated on it for a bit, and I wanted to write about something that Latinos and the United States population on a broader scale would never connect Latinos to when it comes to American history.
Right.
My
Hmm.
master's is in history from here in Michigan, and so I started thinking, what is the connection there? And lo and behold, the idea of the Holocaust. Were Americans, Latinos ever involved with the Holocaust? And so, you know, I went online and I researched and started to research, and lo and behold, there I come across this um, POW by the name of Anthony Acevedo. He was held at Berga, was told by the United States of America not to talk about it, and they made him sign a piece of paper that they had to keep it a secret, or they would be court-martialed and sent to
Hmm.
prison if they were found
Right,
guilty.
right.
And so this brave soldier, this soldado, had kept this inside of him, the secreto, for over 63 years. Can you
Mhm.
imagine?
Incredible.
You're 20 years old. You were held in a concentration camp, a slave labor camp. You're down to about 70 pounds. And on the day that you're set free, the army makes you sign a piece of paper that says you're 20 years old, but you will never talk about this experience, this death march that you were on, this concentration camp where you were held, or we will court martial you and you will be held accountable. And so you can imagine when I came across this story that I thought, oh my goodness, I need to meet this person. I need to interview him. I need to write his biography. And so, unfortunately, by the time I had contacted Fernando, as Rebecca had mentioned, their father had already passed away, which was a great loss in itself. Um, and yet, you know, when I was talking to Fernando, he said, "Yeah, you know, please come out. Let's, you know, we'd love to interview. We'd still like to talk to you about our dad." And so there I go, and you know, I had the distinct, you know, kind of pleasure and honor to meet Rebecca, Ernesto, Fernando, the rest of their family, even the daughter of Anthony's sister, Luisa,
Hmm.
who is also mentioned in Undesirable Secrets, the solo play that I'm doing. And at that moment, I thought to myself, yes, I need to take the next 2 or 3 years and write this biography. And you know how one thing always leads to another, right? And I think there was really a greater power at work here because as we're sitting around the table, we start talking about the possibility of this being a movie or this being a play or this being
Mm-hmm.
something, in accordance with the biography. And well, my PhD is a fine arts PhD, and my wife always makes fun of me because she's like, well, how come it's a fine arts? And I said, well, because I love to do too many things. Right. I love to draw. I love to write poetry. I love to write academic books. And then I love to write screenplays. And I love to write, plays. And so, lo and behold, I mentioned to Fernando and to Rebecca that uh, I also write plays and movies. And so we started talking about the possibility of doing that. And one thing led to another. I did write a full cast version of the play, which there was about 14 people in the cast, if you can imagine. And we did a reading of that particular script in San Antonio for Remembrance Month, for Jewish Holocaust Remembrance Month back in January of 24 in San Antonio. And so a shout out to all of the people there at the San Antonio Holocaust Memorial Museum and the San Antonio Public Library that were hosting the
Mm-hmm.
event. And when we got there, it was rainy, it was blustery cold, and but we still had a sellout house of about 385 people in the audience.
Wow.
That's right.
And the which one was also a survivor. She was 102 years old, I believe, but
Mm-hmm.
she was a concentration camp survivor, and she was in the audience. And so when we were done with it, and it was so well received, and William Dahl, who is the director of this performance and also of that particular play at the staged reading of the play, um, we talked about it. And in accordance with a friend of ours who also went to school with us, his name is Pete Kuzoff. He lives in Santa Fe. And we were there and we were talking about the script. And we thought, why not experiment with making this a one-person play? And that's where this whole idea of the solo performance of me as Anthony took off. And I'll just add really quickly that when we were working on the script, I and they asked me to get up and read at that particular point the script where it was at. I was terrified. I said no. I said, I really, I don't want to do this. I don't, I'll write it. I'll be glad to write it. And so, they asked me to stand up and do it. And like what Rebecca was saying, when you find yourself in those moments, and Alicia, I know you because you've acted so much in your wonderful career, I know, which, I could go on and on about your career as well,
No,
right?
don't talk
Because I
about
just,
me. It's not about
yeah,
me.
but I
It's
just
about
love your story
you
as well.
and
But
you.
anyway, so
Right.
so I get up and I start reading it, and suddenly I find myself going, oh my goodness, I think that Anthony is here, and I think that he's calling me to do this. And
Mm-hmm.
Fernando, God rest his soul, I love my brother to death. I miss him every day still.
Um,
Um, but I
I know
I
you
think
do,
that
Rudy.
yes,
I
and
know you
I think
do.
that he was there too. And
Yes,
so after I got through reading it, Bill was there, Pete was there, and they said, are you going to do it now? And I said, yes, I will, but only if you guys direct and help me through this whole process because I need somebody to be with me. And lo and behold, they've stuck through the project this long way. And so here we are about to be performing in New York City,
in
which
New
if somebody would
York,
have
and
told
and
us that
and
at the
the
time,
way I've read about it, I read the script, I worked with you. Let me remind people, he's the author of this poetry book, Brown Son of Lorca, and performed with Danisarte. And I know what kind of an actor you are. You might say that you haven't acted that much, but the heart's there, the soul's there, and everything else.
that's right.
And
thank you.
this is a wonderful work. this is something that should be seen by everybody. I mean, it's
Absolutely.
a good way to combine, our Latino history with the
Absolutely.
American history, with the
Hmm.
Jewish history. I mean, everybody should see.
No,
I mean,
thank you, Alicia. Yes, and absolutely. And that was the entire point of even writing this in the first place, is that I wanted America to see that Latinos have played a valuable role in the history of this country.
definitely,
Yes.
Absolutely,
definitely.
absolutely. And that when Rebecca and I were talking about it, and Ernesto and I were talking about it, and all of those stories of pain and suffering that Anthony had lived through, uh, and then suddenly they started to talk to me about the abuse, the mental and physical abuse that he had suffered at the hands of his father from the time he was un chamaquito, a little boy, like Rebecca was saying, making him dress as a little girl, um, beating him, uh, starving him and his sister, pointing guns to their heads, and
That's right.
things like that. Then I absolutely knew that we had to turn this into a play, and we had to do this for people because, a story of survival that goes this deep into the soul of a man who, at the end of the day, like we talk about in the play, was smiling. That if you didn't know that he was held in a concentration camp, that he was forced to keep it a secret, that he was abused by his father, even as a grown man, when he was,
Yes.
63, 73. Every time his father walked into the room, Anthony would start stuttering because
That's
Yes.
that's how
terrible,
much he still
terrible,
Yes.
terrible.
feared his father. Or he would wet the
Guys,
bed at night because
that's
he feared his
terrible,
father so much.
terrible.
Just absolutely horrible.
So that's the
Um,
backstory of
that's
this
the backstory
man.
of it. Yes.
And that
Yes.
everybody, we hope you will come see this. We will add, with little clips of different things. I look forward to talking to you again, both of you.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Rebecca, I look forward to meeting you. And your
Would
director,
absolutely be an honor, Alicia. Forgive me for interrupting you. An absolute honor. And chapo, me quito el sombrero ante
ay, Dios
usted.
mío, ay, gracias.
Se
No,
me
it's an honor
escalofría.
to meet
Se-
you, the daughter of such a valiant
Gracias. Se me
person.
escalofría la
Sí,
piel.
sí.
I have goosebumps. I
Well,
can't express enough to you how I would love to meet you, and I
listen,
know we will. And
yes,
and
we
again,
will. And I
Rudy,
look forward to helping promote this. And we will talk again.
yes,
We will
Absolutely.
talk again
yes.
real soon, whenever you want. But we
I
Bueno,
have
heard
to
lovely
gracias,
go.
things about you.
Alicia.
So we won't say goodbye. We'll say hasta luego.
Hasta
Hasta
luego.
luego, claro. That's what my
Rebecca, you
father
take
would
care of
say.
yourself.
Yes.
Oh, you
Alicia,
as
thank
well,
you.
Rudy. And just one little thing, Rudy, that my father, our father, would be so proud. And I tell you time and time again, he would be so proud and honored to know. And I know from heaven above that he too takes his head off unto you,
No,
Rudy.
thank you. Thank
I
you,
I
Rebecca.
know if I know our father, and my brothers will back me up with that. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you,
So
Rebecca.
yes, and Fernando, of course. Fernando, I know. I know. I won't say anymore.
God bless.
God
We'll
bless you
see
as
you
well.
soon.
And
Rodolfo
as my father
Alvarado.
would say, ciao.
Ciao. Hasta la
Ciao.
próxima.
Hasta la
Bye.
Hasta.
próxima. Ciao.
Ciao.
Que esté
Ciao.
bien. Ciao.